My name is Malak, and I've been married to Youssef for only a short time. I've always loved apple juice. One day, while working at home, I suddenly fainted. When I woke up, I felt an odd sense of unease, but at the same time, Youssef's behavior toward me began to change completely. One evening, I told him how much I loved apple juice, even though he rarely drank it himself. The next night, after I finished my chores and went to my room, he walked in and placed a bag in front of me. "What's this?" I asked. He smiled and said, "I brought you some fresh apple juice." I was surprised. Youssef had never brought me anything before. Why now? And why so suddenly? Especially since he never did anything without his mother's or sister's approval. He wouldn't even breathe without their consent, so how could he dare to bring me juice behind their backs? Still, I didn't question it too much. I drank the juice. Soon after, I felt sleepy, and before I knew it, I had fallen into a deep sleep. When I woke up the next morning, my head was spinning. I felt weak, dizzy, as if I might collapse. I forced myself up, washed my face, and went to the kitchen. My mother-in-law looked at me with a cold, piercing stare, as if I had committed a terrible sin. "Why did you wake up so late?" she asked sharply. It was the first time she had ever questioned me like that. I felt like she somehow knew about the juice. Then she began to scold me with words I couldn't fully understand. When I asked about Youssef, she replied in a harsh tone, "Do you expect him to wait for you forever? His wife sleeps half the day." Her words hurt deeply. I tried to distract myself by preparing breakfast, but she kept watching me strangely, almost knowingly. That night, I could tell Youssef was angry. He avoided me completely. Later that evening, after I finished my chores, my mother-in-law called me into her room. She started asking strange questions about where I studied, where I used to go before marriage, and what foods I liked. She had never shown that kind of interest before. I felt like there was a secret behind her questions. When I returned to my room, Youssef was waiting for me, with apple juice again. I smiled, thinking he wasn't angry anymore, and drank it happily. But as I did, I noticed something unsettling in his eyes. "Why are you looking at me like that?" I asked. He paused and said softly, "Nothing. Just tell me, will you stay with me forever?" I was shocked. His words frightened me. Youssef was changing, his gentle behavior replaced by something darker, almost obsessive. I started to feel drowsy again. Through half-closed eyes, I saw him smiling, a strange, almost sinister smile, before I fell asleep. The next day, I woke up late in the afternoon. My condition was worse. My body trembled. My heart raced uncontrollably. I called for his sister, but she didn't respond. I barely managed to get up and go downstairs, where I found my mother-in-law whispering with her daughter. When they saw me, they fell silent immediately. I asked what they were talking about, but they just exchanged looks, and my mother-in-law's face went pale. That's when I knew. They had been talking about me. My suspicion grew. Something was wrong with my body and mind, and I was sure they had something to do with it. I even began to doubt Youssef himself. He kept bringing me apple juice every night, and I became strangely addicted to it. After drinking it, I'd feel a strange comfort, but also fall into such deep sleep that I could never wake up during the night. One evening, Youssef went into his mother's room, and soon after, his sister followed. I overheard muffled arguing. Youssef's voice was raised, yelling at them. It was the first time I'd ever heard him shout. Later, he came into our room as if nothing had happened. When I asked why he was late, he lied easily, saying he'd been busy at work and had eaten dinner there. That night, he offered me apple juice again. I refused at first, but he insisted, so I drank a little. Moments later, I felt a sharp sting in my arm, like a needle piercing my skin. I opened my eyes slightly, but everything was blurry. Youssef was lying next to me, pretending to be asleep. I called his name, but he didn't move. I turned off the light and tried to sleep again, but then I heard whispers. Someone was speaking beside me in a low voice. I couldn't move, couldn't understand the words. I just heard faint murmurs in the darkness. When I woke up early in the morning, Youssef was on the phone. As soon as he saw me awake, he ended the call quickly. I asked him about last night, if someone had been in our room. He turned pale, his eyes full of fear, like someone caught doing something wrong. I tried to calm him by saying, maybe I was just dreaming. He nodded nervously. Yes, maybe. But my heart didn't believe it. That day, my mother-in-law treated me coldly. This was the same woman who once begged my parents to let me marry her son, who used to spoil me endlessly. Now, she could barely look at me. I remembered how every man who proposed to me before Youssef had suddenly withdrawn. My parents always made excuses, or said something to end things. I never understood why. Then Youssef's mother came, asking for my hand. My parents hesitated, but eventually agreed. Strangely, she came back later saying she had changed her mind, and my parents were relieved instead of disappointed. But soon after, she returned again, insisting she wanted me for her son. Back then, she was kind and caring. Now everything had changed. I didn't want to suspect Youssef, but something was clearly wrong. One afternoon, his mother entered my room angrily. "You've become manipulative," she said, "trying to make my son revolve around you. You think I don't see your little acts?" I was shocked. Before I could respond, Youssef walked in, cutting her off mid-sentence, as if he didn't want her to say more. After that, she began entering my room secretly, going through my things without permission. Youssef started coming home earlier, sometimes looking exhausted and always bringing me apple juice. One night I drank it and suddenly felt dizzy, my vision blurred. Then I saw a young woman enter the room. My body was too heavy to move and I drifted into sleep. In the morning, I couldn't stop wondering, who was she? Why was she in my room? I decided to stop drinking the juice. Ever since I started, my life had fallen apart. That night, when Youssef offered it again, I tried to refuse, but his gentle insistence broke me. I drank it. He left the room, and when he returned later, I pretended to be asleep. He started speaking to someone in English, words I couldn't understand. Around midnight, I heard the door open. I cracked my eyes just slightly, and what I saw froze my blood. Another person was there. They spoke quietly about medications. Then I felt another needle pierce my arm. A burning pain spread through me as my consciousness faded. I wanted to scream, but my body wouldn't obey. The next morning, my eyes were red and my whole body felt drained. That's when I knew Youssef was hiding something. His mother was involved too, but what were they doing to me and why? Days passed in confusion and fear. My health kept deteriorating. I felt like I was losing control of my body and mind. Youssef came home later and later, always spending time in his mother's room before coming to me. One night, I couldn't take it anymore. "Youssef, what do you want from me? Why don't you talk to me? Don't you see I'm sick?" I cried. He said nothing and walked out. The next day, I went shopping with his sister. We stopped for lunch, and as I glanced across the restaurant, my heart stopped. At another table, I saw Youssef with another woman. I froze, then ran out of the restaurant in shock. When I got home, I destroyed everything in our room, sobbing uncontrollably. That night, Youssef walked in holding the usual glass of apple juice, but froze when he saw the chaos. "What happened here? What's wrong?" he asked. I shouted, "You're still asking me that? Tell me the truth. Why did you bring me into your life? What do you want from me?" He looked confused. "What are you talking about? Sit down and tell me what's going on." He sat me on the couch gently. I glared at him and demanded, "What do you put in the apple juice you give me? Why are you doing this to me?" He sighed and said calmly, "Sleeping pills." I stared at him, stunned. "Why? Why would you do that?" "Because I can't stand to see you suffer," he said softly. My anger faded into confusion. Stop lying, I said. I know everything. You, your mother, your sister. You've been bewitching me. I want a divorce. Yusef looked at me with deep sadness. You really don't know, do you? Tell me, Malak. Who do you think you are? Do you remember the man you said entered our room that night? The girl you keep seeing in your dreams? None of that is real. He took a deep breath. Your parents never refused other suitors because of me. They refused because of you. You've been ill for a long time. You suffer from a mental disorder and cancer. They were afraid you'd lose your mind or worse. He continued. My mother didn't want me to marry you, but I insisted. I promised to take care of you. The apple juice had your medication. The injections you felt were from the doctor who came to treat you at night. That woman you saw? She's your doctor. And the woman you saw at the restaurant? She's the same doctor. She was just telling me that you'd be okay soon. I froze, tears streaming down my face. Everything I believed, every suspicion, every nightmare, it had all been wrong. Yusef's eyes softened. My mother is harsh because she sees how much I suffer watching you in pain. But she doesn't hate you. She just can't handle it anymore. He smiled sadly. You're going to be okay, Malak. You'll recover soon. I promise. I broke down in tears and hugged him tightly. Forgive me, I whispered. He smiled gently. I already have. You'll get better, God willing. And for the first time in a long time, I felt safe. If you liked my story, don't forget to like this video and share it with your friends. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to do so now. See you tomorrow with a new and exciting story. Until then, take care and may God protect you.